Welcome to Jagan's channel. I am Jagan, and in this science video, I'm going to be doing a video called Gist of Science. So, I'm going to be answering some questions that my friends have, and I'm going to say the answers to you. And I hope this video pushes away all your itty-bitty questions of science. Let's start. What's that, my friend?
What do plants make?
Oh, plants make food and oxygen for us. The food we all eat comes from plants. Plants release oxygen to the air. Oxygen is a gas we breathe. Plants are very important in life for us. What's that?
What are the three parts that most plants share?
Oh. So all plants are very different. There are bushes, trees, and others. But all plants have the same three parts: roots, stems, and leaves. The roots help the plant be anchored into the ground to not blow away by the wind. And also they collect water and minerals from the soil. The stem carries all those nutrients up to the leaves, which absorb sunlight, carbon dioxide, and release out oxygen, and is where the photosynthesis happens. I'll discuss photosynthesis next time. What was that?
Why are plants amazing?
Why are plants amazing? My opinion is because they make their own food with sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide. What's that?
What is photosynthesis?
Oh, photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the process in which plants make their own food. What's that?
What do plants get from the sun?
Oh, plants get from the sun sunlight, along with water and carbon dioxide from rain and the air that they need for photosynthesis. What is that?
What is the food that plants make?
Oh, what food do plants make? So it starts out when the sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide combine to form glucose, a type of sugar that the plants need, which then forms into cellulose, a plant-like fiber, which mixes with the ground nutrients to form proteins that help the plant grow. What is that?
What is the green material in the plants?
Oh, what is the green pigment in the leaves? This is so interesting that you asked me this question because I've done it in my science fair. So, this green pigment is called chlorophyll. And it is in the chloroplasts of the plant cell. It stores the sugar and proteins. And it also makes the leaves change color. When there is more chlorophyll, the leaves are green. When there is less chlorophyll and more of the cannabinoids or other substances that make the leaves change color, the leaves turn yellow, red, orange, and it varies. What is that?
What is pollination?
Pollination is a process in which the plants make seeds. The wind and animals pollinate the flowers. The wind gusts up to a flower and takes the pollen with it and drops it to another flower. And then the animals suck up the nectar, and then a little bit of pollen gets stuck to their body, and then they move to another flower, and then that pollen falls off. And then they get stuck to another pollen. So that is pollination. So, what is that?
Can you tell me what is germination?
Germination is the process when the small seed buried in the soil turns to a seedling. So, here's the process. So, the seed has a hard coat called the seed coat, which protects the embryo, the small plant inside that's going to turn into a seedling. When it gets warm and moist enough, it splits into two. There's two parts that are the cotyledons. Then it sprouts out, and then the cotyledons become the first 2 leaves. What is that?
Can you explain the plant life cycle?
Oh, the plant life cycle is the process in which the plant grows into an adult from a seed. So first it starts as first the germination begins, and then it turns into a seedling, and then a sproutling, and then it goes into a normal tree, and then it grows into an adult tree, which then has fruits, and then the seeds will grow into new trees, and then the plant dies. Some plants can live over for centuries. Others can live only for a week. What's that?
Why don't cacti have leaves?
Oh, why don't cacti have leaves? Since we're in Arizona, we can see a lot of cacti and they don't have leaves. That's because what's the need of leaves when they have big fat rubbery stems that can store water? So the plant questions are done. If you want to know more about plants, then watch the plant video in Jagan's channel. Oh, another person is here. Oh, you want to know more about animals? Okay, let's hear the first question.
How are animal groups classified?
Oh, how are animals and animal groups identified? Okay, so if you want to know more about how they are identified, go to the vertebrates video in Jagan's channel. I'll talk more about them in there. Right now, this is just a revision. So, they're classified into 2 groups, vertebrates and invertebrates. Vertebrates are classified into 5 sections: mammals, reptiles, amphibians, birds, and fish. But invertebrates are classified into 2 groups, legged and non-legged. What's that?
How do animals grow and change?
How do animals grow and change? So, there are different life cycles for each animal. Amphibians and insects start out as an egg. Then, most of them go to living to a nymph, which most of them live underwater, like a butterfly or a tadpole. Then, they slowly go to a metamorphosis, which is a change in their body. For example, a frog. A frog, when it's a tadpole, it keeps swimming underwater. Then its tail goes, its 2 legs come out, 2 arms come out, and its body grows bigger, and soon it becomes an adult frog. Same for a butterfly. The butterfly, first the caterpillar starts out in a cocoon, and then the metamorphosis changes in the cocoon or chrysalis. The butterfly changes. The caterpillar changes into a butterfly, and then the butterfly slowly comes out and flies away, and then they lay new eggs, and then they die. So that is amphibians and insects, but reptiles and birds are different. They first lay, the parents first lay eggs. Most of the reptiles don't look after their babies, but the birds sometimes do. Then the birds and reptiles grow up slowly to be an adult. Then they lay new eggs, and then they die. Mammals are completely different. They give birth to live babies. We are mammals because we give birth to live babies. And they feed them milk. Then they slowly go to become an adult, and then they give birth to new babies, and then they also die. So those are the life cycles. What is that, my friend?
What tactics do animals use to survive?
What are the tactics that animals use to survive? Well, they have adaptations, and they go to different processes that help them stay alive. Like, for example, running legs, or hibernation, or migration. And those are the tactics that they use to survive. What, my friend?
What are all these terms? Herbivore, omnivore, carnivore, and scavenger.
Oh! Those 4 animals, herbivore, carnivore, omnivore, and scavenger. I'll tell you what they mean. Herbivores eat only plants, for example, elephants and giraffes. Carnivores eat only meat. They get the food from other animals. For example, lions and bears. Not bears. Lions and... let me think of something else. Lions and cheetahs, for example. And then omnivores, that includes bears and raccoons, eat both plants and animals. But scavengers, like vultures and worms, or decomposers, they feed on dead plants and animals.
What are endangered species?
What are endangered species? Wait, say the question again.
What are endangered species?
Oh, okay. Endangered species, there are not so many. Their numbers are so low that they are close to becoming extinct. So, what is this question?
What are extinct animals?
Oh, this is the sad part. What are extinct animals? Extinct animals are animals that no longer exist. I mean, it would be safe though, because the extinct animals would be dinosaurs, ammonites, and trilobites, and those would all be creepy. Trilobites are animals that lived in the Precambrian period. They had 3 parts on each side. If you want to see the fossils, you can. And ammonites, which are sea animals that are closely related to octopuses and squids, although they have a shell. That is extinct animals, and that is the end of mammals. Goodbye! Okay, so we're done with animals. Oh, a new guy has came. Hello! What do you want questions about? Ecosystems and food chains? Okay, let's hear the first one.
What are the different types of ecosystems?
What are different types of ecosystems? An ecosystem is basically a space where plants and animals live together. Some ecosystems are ponds, rivers, and deserts. So, let's hear the next question.
What is a food chain?
What is a food chain? A food chain is a process in which energy passes on from one to another. Food chains always begin with producers. They are mostly plants and algae. They make their own food, like I discussed in the plants section. Then come the consumers. First, the primary consumers, they are herbivores. They eat the plants. And then come the secondary consumers. They eat the herbivores. They eat their primary consumers. They are also they are carnivores, or they could be omnivore too. And then the tertiary consumer, the tertiary consumer then gets the energy from the secondary consumer, and he's at the top of the food chain. Then when the tertiary consumer dies, then decomposers, which are in soil mostly, break down they break down the tertiary consumer or any other dead thing, and then they use that leftover nutrients to make plants make new food chains start. So that is a food chain. What's that?
What is a food web?
What is a food web? A food web is a bunch of food chains connected together in an ecosystem. For example, if there is a snake, a mouse, an eagle, some grass, and a rabbit. And also there could be a raccoon. So, actually not raccoon. There's only grass, rabbits, mice, snakes, and eagles. So, let's say the grass is at the start, of course. Then the mice and rabbit come up. And then the snake eats the mice only. And then the eagle catches the snake and the rabbit. So arrows show where the energy is being passed on. So that is a food web. What's that, my friend?
How do plants and animals adapt?
How do plants and animals adapt? So, how do plants and animals have their tactics to survive? Those tactics are called adaptations. Adaptations are a body part or an action that helps animals and plants survive. For example, a giraffe can reach trees and leaves and eat them with its long neck. A dolphin can use its fin and tails to swim quickly and escape from predators. A bald eagle or a normal eagle can use its beak, keen eyesight, and talons to grab and eat food. A polar bear, it can have warm blubbery fur that keeps it warm in the Arctic. So, and also I'm gonna be discussing 4 ways of adaptations. One is camouflage. Camouflage means a predator or a prey blending with their surroundings so that nobody can see it. Mimicry is an animal or plant pretending to be another thing. For example, the Indian leaf butterfly looks like a leaf. You can tell by the shape and the color. And also, two more adaptations are hibernation, which is a long, deep sleep that some animals do in the winter till spring, and also migration when the temperatures rise and when the temperatures rise or go down too much, some animals migrate. That means they move to a different place. So those are adaptations. What's that I hear?
What is a microorganism? And which organisms are producers and consumers? And decomposers?
Microorganisms. A micro means small. Organism means living thing. So it's a very, very tiny living thing that we can't see with our eyes. We can only see it with a microscope. It helps us to see things close up. For example, microorganisms. And the second question he asked was, which microorganisms are consumers, producers, and decomposers? Some microorganisms behave like plants, and some behave like animals. So just like plants and animals, some microorganisms are producers, and some microorganisms are consumers, and some microorganisms are decomposers. One microorganism that I can tell you that produces its own food is algae. And another one for decomposers. Decomposers also work on eating dead things to make them. So those ones are, I can name a few: fungus, mold, and bacteria. For a fungus, for example, a mushroom, we can see it with our eyes. It is closely relative to a plant, except it eats dead things. And note that not all plants are producers. Some eat bugs, which are the bug-eating plants. So, that is ecosystems and food chains. Thank you very much for your questions. So now we are going to start habitats. Oh, another one is here. Oh, you want to have questions on habitats? Well, let's begin.
What are the various plant and animal habitats?
What are the various plant and animal habitats? There are a lot of them in the existing Earth. Some of them are deserts, ponds, estuaries, forests, savannas, and more.
How and why do habitats change?
How do habitats change? How do natural habitats change? So, they can be changed by people or nature itself. Let's just first start with the nature. Nature can cause several disasters, for example, tornadoes or wildfires. They can knock down trees and even some animal homes. They can turn a dam into a stream. They can even cause thunderstorms and wildfires even, if the lightning strikes the forest. But the good news is, after the wildfire, after any storm, the storm kind of cleans up the trees so that new plants can be grown. And the leftover trees that fallen down or gotten burned can be rotten and used for the soil. But the other way habitats can be changed are by people. People have been cutting down more trees and destroying animal homes. They have also built cities on top of it. So that is why we should always protect and reserve the animals by not the animals and plants and habitats, by not putting too much trash, by recycling, by using the 3 R's, reduce, reuse, and recycle, and that will help you be a natural reserver. So that is habitats. So now we're going to be talking about my favorite book, Human Body and Health. Oh, I think you want questions about the human body, right? Since you have a stethoscope and you're a doctor. So let's begin.
What are permanent teeth?
What are permanent teeth? Permanent teeth are teeth that stay in your mouth forever. When we are 6 years old, we start losing our temporary teeth, the ones that fall out. Then, in replace, permanent teeth grow in replace of your temporary teeth. And then they stay in your mouth forever. Those are temporary and permanent teeth. So the different types of teeth, since we were speaking about teeth in the permanent teeth section, are incisors, which are the front teeth, canines, which are in a dog and cat, molars, which help you grind the food, and premolars, which are behind the molars. So a series of teeth called the wisdom teeth also have to be removed at the age of your teenager. So they are the series called the wisdom teeth, and they are with you when you are children, but the wisdom teeth have to be removed. So that is all for types of teeth. What is that?
What is the skeletal system and bones?
What are the skeletal system and bones? The skeletal system is a bone-made framework that supports our body. If we didn't have bones, then we'll just be a glob on the floor. If you want to learn more about bones, check in the skeletal system, bones, in Jagan's channel. So there are 206 of them, and they are formed in different parts of the body. Bones are made of several layers, and they produce red blood cells. They give you the stability, and they work with your muscles. So that is the skeletal system and bones. What is that?
What is the muscular system?
What are muscles in the muscular system? So the muscular system is just like the skeletal system, except it is made of muscles. Tendon-like tissues that help you move. The muscles work together with your skeletal system. There are at least 600 of them. The biggest muscle is what you're sitting on right now, gluteus maximus, also known as the butt muscle. So that is muscles. What's your next question?
What is the heart and circulatory system?
What is the heart and circulatory system? Okay, so the heart and circulatory system, the circulatory system is comprised of the heart, blood vessels. So the heart sends blood, it pumps blood with its ventricles and with its ventricles to pump blood all over the body. So arteries carry the blood to the body parts. Veins carry the blood back to the heart to get oxygenated. Capillaries are what take these capillaries take the blood from the arteries. So the heart pumps blood and into the lungs to get oxygenated. Then it comes back with oxygen. And at the same time in the lungs, when the blood reaches there, the blood gives out carbon dioxide. I'll discuss that more on the next question, right? Okay, so let's go back to the heart. The heart then sends that oxygenated blood all over the body. Then it comes back as deoxygenated blood. Then the process starts all over again. So that is heart rate, heart and the circulatory system. If you want to know more about the circulatory system and its arteries and veins and all those, then you can click on the circulatory system video in Jagan's channel to know more about it. What's next?
What are the lungs and respiratory system?
What is the respiratory system and lungs? So, the respiratory system is a network that helps you breathe. You inhale the oxygen through your nose, and then the nasal cavity filters the air. Then it sends it down into the lungs from the windpipe. Then the lungs lead to smaller tubes, and remember the circulatory system, right? That I said the blood goes into the small tubes, and then the oxygen goes into the blood. And then out from the blood comes carbon dioxide, and the lungs take it to your windpipe and then out through your mouth or nose. So that is the respiratory system. If you want to know more about it, then see the respiratory system video in Jagan's channel.
What is the digestive system?
Ooh, this is my favorite system of all the systems. What is the digestive system and stomach? The digestive system is a very complex system, but don't worry, I'll explain it to you. The digestive system begins with the mouth. Enzymes called saliva break down the food, and at the same time, your teeth grind the food physically. So the mouth has both chemical digestion and mechanical digestion. Mechanical is when, for example, the teeth, you chew it physically or you grind it physically. The chemical digestion is when enzymes break down the food themselves. Then the food is swallowed into your esophagus, where then it takes the food to the stomach. The stomach has chemical digestion. It mixes up hydrochloric acid and enzymes that grind the food into some sort of chyme. A chyme is a liquid/solid food. It's been digested, but the digestion process is not over yet. Then it goes into the first part of the small intestine, called the duodenum. Organs called the liver and pancreas send digestive juices to the duodenum. That also grinds up the chyme. Then it goes into the rest of the small intestine, where it absorbs all the nutrients and sends them to your body. The small intestine is not really that small. It's called small because its walls are so thin. And then comes the large intestine, which is the opposite of the small intestine. The walls are thicker and larger. So, the large intestine, also known as the colon, starts with the cecum. Then it goes to the colon. It absorbs water and salt, so the remainings become very hard. You cannot survive without water. So the large intestine absorbs all the water, and then the remainings go out of the body when you go to the bathroom through the rectum and anus. So that is the digestive system, but another system applies to the digestive system. This is extra if you want to know more about it. It's called the urinary system. It features the kidneys, ureters, and bladder. The kidneys, so first, blood vessels take blood to the kidneys. There's the substance called urea, a toxic poison, in which the kidneys remove, and also excess water and salt. They all mix together in the form called urine. So basically, what the kidneys do is filter the blood. Then the excess water and salt with the urea, called urine, otherwise known as pee, goes through the ureters to the bladder. When there is enough urine in the bladder inflates up like a balloon. When there is enough, muscles called sphincters let the urine go out through the urethra and out to the outside world. So that is digestive and urinary system. What?
What are the brain, nerves, and sensory organs?
What is the nervous system, brain, nerves, and sensory? The nervous system is a complex system of nerves. It comprises of the brain and nerves. There are two parts for this system. The central nervous system, which has the brain and spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system, which has all the nerves descending from the brain and spinal cord. So, let's go into the parts of the brain. The brain has three parts. The cerebrum, which is the largest part of the brain. It houses voluntary actions like language speaking and remembering. But the cerebellum at the back of your brain has nothing different. It also does voluntary actions, which means that you have to do them. Like, you can think to do them. For example, moving your arm. So it controls motion and muscles and bones. And balance too. But the brainstem, the last part of the brain, which descends to the spinal cord, controls all the involuntary actions like digestion, heartbeat, lungs expanding and contracting, and those type of stuff. So that is the parts of the brain. When the nerves from the brain and spinal cord, they transport information to the parts of the body to tell them what to do. So that is nervous system, brain, and nerves. So now I'm going to be talking about the sensory organs. Don't forget, if you want to know more about the nervous system and its awesome nerves, then you can watch the nervous system video in Jagan's channel. So now we're talking about the sensory organs. Can you guess what they are? If not, then I'll tell you. Eyes, ears, nose, mouth, and skin. They each apply to a sense. Sight, hearing, smelling, taste, and touch. So, all of those organs are powered by the brain too. The brain sends messages to tell what to do. The eyes see reflected light. The ears hear through sound waves. The nose smells and sends that oxygen that is filtered through the lungs. The mouth tastes and sends the rest into digestion. And the skin touches and knows where we are. So those are the sensory organs.
What is the immune system and body hygiene?
Okay, so what is the germs, illness, and prevention? So, together, the job of defeating germs and getting health back is called the immune system. The immune system has immunity. That immunity helps to prevent germs. Germs are tiny substances. Some can help us, and some cannot help us. Some of them in our body help us. For example, in the intestines, the bacteria in our intestines grind up the food. And in return, we give them a nice, full, food-filled, warm place to live. And some germs can also be harmful. That's when we get sick. So when we're sick, you may get a sore throat or a cough. That's because the white blood cells are pushing it out. When you get a sneeze, the germs in your nose are being pushed out by the speed of the sneeze at about 500 kilometers per hour. So, what we can do to prevent these germs? We should always wash our hands after going to the bathroom or any time, or after meals. We should always clean our teeth so that we don't get cavities. And we should always eat the respective healthy foods, like fruit and vegetables and proteins. And also, we should exercise. So, that is the immune system, germs, and illness. Thank you for watching the first part of Gist of Science. This one is life science, but there'll be more sciences. There'll be 3 more sciences. Part 2, Earth and Space. Part 3, Physical Science. And Part 4, Scientific Inquiry. So, you'll be smarter than you'll ever think with these videos. And thank you, Question Clones.